Yakuza 0 truly is where it all began, because not only is this the game that got me into the series, but it's also the game that got me into trophy hunting. While it wasn't the first game that I platinumed, it was the first that I 100% completed. I love this game so much that I wanted to do and see everything that it had to offer, and after I finally did, I didn't want it to end. Because of that, I put off the last trophy I needed for over a year while getting the platinum in other Yakuza games. Now, despite this being my favorite video game series of all time, I've honestly not played any of the games since I've started making videos for YouTube. But after spending the last few weeks avoiding Infinite Well spoilers, I simply cannot put off playing the rest of the series any longer. So, I figured the best way to be able to play Yakuza while trying to consistently upload is to make videos on the series I love. But it didn't make sense to introduce you guys to the series 5.5 games in where I left off, or to make an entire video based off of one trophy. That's when I discovered different regions actually have a separate trophy list. So I did what any sane person would do. I went and bought a PS3 with every single Yakuza game on the system. Just to clarify real quick, no, I do not speak Japanese. I'm white, like very white.
If you're looking for Daigo, Mine's taken him up to the roof.
Could I have just platinumed the game again on another account? Sure. Where's the fun in that? Don't worry though, I don't expect you guys to be as familiar with this game, so I'll be using footage from my legendary playthrough in English as well as translating everything that is relevant on the screen for you.
Oh shit. Here we go again.
Step 1 of this very long platinum grind is completing the main story. I won't be covering all of the story related trophies, as if you're watching this you either know what happens or have yet to play through this masterpiece for yourself, in which case I don't want to spoil anything, but basically the game takes place in 1988. There was a lot that was empty, then it wasn't. Kiryu is framed for this murder by someone in the Tojo clan, and while trying to prove his innocence, you'll encounter numerous obstacles and plot twists throughout this heart-wrenching story. You also get to play as the Mad Lad himself, Majima, and experience the story that shaped him into the wild card that we see in later games. The trophies I will be covering during this step are the ones that are missable. The first occurs in chapter 2, where you need to buy a homeless guy a bottle of golden champagne. I give you this gold champagne, you give me my trophy, deal? Dude, PS3 trophies are so delayed. In chapter 3, you need to speak to 3 NPCs around Sotenbori to get the maximum number of hostesses during your negotiation with Yamagata, who is voiced by the GOAT. You won't know if you did everything right until the next chapter, but if you did, upon entering the Grand in chapter 4, you will get the trophy Smooth Criminal. The next missable trophy is in chapter 5, and here you have to go through some steps to demonstrate to Oda that you have proper business etiquette. So, make sure to sit not in the back, but near the back of the room, pick the nearest seat, and order nothing while waiting for your client to arrive. Also make sure to pass the QTE that shows up when introducing yourself to Yamanoa. Chapter 7 has us picking up some takoyaki to deliver to Makoto, but in order to get this trophy, you have to wait around 15 minutes in real time until the food turns cold. And there it is, a dish best served cold. Alright, now time to go give it to her. I'm just kidding, you think I'd give a blind girl some cold food? That was fun. When fighting as Kiryu alongside Oda and Tachibana in chapter 10, you must perform a co-op heat action 3 times to earn It Takes Two. At the end of the fight sequence in chapter 12, you need to destroy a safe to steal the money inside for the trophy They Won't Mind. During the highway shootout in chapter 13, you need to shoot a Yakuza with an afro for big hair and the crosshairs. Kinda weird that the guide for this trophy says you need to kill him, since Kiryu doesn't kill. The last missable trophy comes from the chapter 15 bar fight. During this fight, Majima will be thrown towards the bar, and to get the trophy, you simply need to fail the QTE and let Reina hit you. With 21 out of the 55 trophies in the main story already done, you would think we'd made good progress towards getting the platinum. Well, you'd be wrong. Very wrong. The longest grind that causes most people to give up on this platinum is the Trophy Perfectionist, which requires you to 100% the completion list. This is something that we will be passively working towards while going for other trophies, which leads us to step number 2, Substories. There's 100 Substories in total that we need to complete, 60 with Kiryu and 40 with Majima. We need to complete all of these for the platinum, which I admit sounds miserable at first. But the Substories are actually where I believe the series shines and separates itself from other games. For as serious and emotional as the main story of these games are, the Substories are just full of goofy and random things that are not only hilarious, but always manage to make you feel good. My personal favorite has to be the depiction of Michael Jackson, or, for copyright reasons, Miracle Johnson. He's just constantly doing this during dialogue.
Samurai!
The only sub-story that I was really concerned about keeping me from being able to get the platinum was sub-story number 8. The main reason I was so worried about this one in particular was because I remember having to enter an extremely long password on the endgame keyboard, and I wasn't sure if it would even give me the option to type in Japanese, given that I was on a US PSN account. And then when the keyboard actually did appear in Japanese, I had no idea how to navigate a Japanese keyboard. So... yeah. Alright, moment of truth. Please work. Please. Damn, bro, really said the whole thing? Please. Oh, let's go. Yeah, I told you I was fluent in Japanese. I just had to put my glasses on. You're forgetting something. Yeah, you're right. We don't care what he has. We just wanted to get the password right. There's also a sub-story where this man tells Kiryu that he believes that the girl he is looking at is his long-lost daughter. So we talk to her and arrange a meeting for the two of them. There's so many more memorable sub-stories, such as Kiryu buying this girl a pizza because he misunderstood her asking for a visa, or Majima being the reason for the increase in taxes. But after completing 40, we get another trophy. There's also a trophy for completing all 100, which even unlocks a secret boss fight, but there's a lot more we gotta do before we're ready for that. About halfway through the story, Kiryu and Majima will each unlock a separate storyline. Kiryu becomes the president of his own real estate business, while Majima becomes the manager of a cabaret club. For the Real Estate Royale storyline, Kiryu is going up against the 5 billionaires, and the only way to defeat them is by buying various properties around Kamurocho. This storyline takes a really long time to finish, as to progress in each area, you need to at least reach 90% control before being able to challenge the billionaire of that region. But buying every available building in the area isn't even enough to reach that percentage. Minigame must also reach an S rank with your properties by upgrading them with advisors. You'll get over 90% way before getting an S rank in all properties, but you'll still need to max them all out for the 100% completion list trophy. To make this process go by faster, you can upgrade the speed of the money collections by using completion points at the shrine. Also, make sure to get Michael Jackson before doing this because he's actually the best advisor. At the end of the storyline, you'll have so much money that spending over 1 billion yen on a single building will be pocket change. And after defeating all 5 billionaires, you finish this storyline off by defeating the Finance King and unlocking the Dragon of Dojima fighting style. So after about 20 seconds of waiting, this man will light our cigarette for us. And we'll get the trophy Generosity of Strangers. Alright, you can lift your head, bro. Ain't that serious? Now that we beat the 5 billionaires with Kiryu, it's Majima's turn to defeat the 5 stars. While the plot of the Cabaret Club storyline is pretty much the same as before, the progression is very different. Instead of straight up buying properties and waiting to collect money, we're instead going around buying business partners and earning money through the Cabaret Club minigame. In this minigame, Majima is taking his army of hostesses to battle against a very tough opponent. Single Japanese men. It's kinda crazy how many there are in one city too, because we quickly got our first 1000 fans, which was nothing compared to how many we had by the end of this storyline. The minigame itself is actually pretty fun though, at least the first couple times you play it. After 7 hours of this shit though, I was definitely starting to lose it. It wasn't enough for the game to engrave the Sunshine Fever music into my head for the rest of my life, but then I had to listen to all 6 of the Platinum hostesses go on and on about their personal problems in order to complete the sub-stories associated with them. Majima already has enough problems to worry about Saki.
We do not care.
But after finally getting a Platinum hostess to the max level and taking down the mastermind of the 5 stars, Majima will unlock the Mad Dog and Shimano style and we will be freed from this hell. We're done with this mode. Never doing it again. I am never entering this building again. I will never see you again. I will never talk to you. I'm lying. You're in the next game. Oh my god, I can't say what I want to do on YouTube. If I speak, I am in big trouble. With the overflow of cash that we've now acquired, it was time for some upgrades. So after training with every master and unlocking every ability for both Kiryu and Majima, it was now time to test this new strength in the underground Coliseum. In order to get the trophy prize fighter, we need to defeat 30 or more opponents in Endless Route. But in order to unlock the Endless Route fight, we have to reach at least a B rank in the Coliseum. So after grinding out some very intense fights to the death, we finally get to the rank we need and easily defeat 30 enemies straight for a trophy. The Coliseum honestly couldn't even make Kiryu break a sweat, so I decided it was time to challenge the Japanese version of Hafthor Bjornsson. But it turns out he's just as fraudulent as the real Door's deadlift world record. All the money that we saved up would also be a big help in this next grind, the Dragon and Tiger shop. While you could go around to the various dream machines on the map and try to get top grade weapons or gear, the easiest way to collect these is through the Dragon and Tiger. And man, is there a lot that we have to collect. The reason why having a lot of money is so important for this part is because in order to get the weapons and gear, you have to send agents out all over the world to search for them. Not only do you have to pay these agents, but if you want them to search as fast as possible, you gotta pay them at a premium. And instead of trying to figure out exactly which agent I need to send to a specific location in a specific country, I decided to just complete every single search. This definitely put a dent in the wallet, but at this point there was nothing else I needed to spend money on, and I had money to literally throw away. But after completing every search, I was only a few weapons and pieces of gear away from completion. I was also close to the Eye of the Dragon and Tiger trophy, which requires us to obtain all equipment parts. Wait. I think I see it. If that translation's correct, then that's the last equipment item I need. Dead tree branch, 35 of them. Trophy's not popping. Oh, there we go. That was it. The translation was right. So after a little bit of struggling with some bad translations, I finally 100% everything on the battle section of the completion list. Thank God, bro. If I was to break down the percentage of time spent on each step during both of the times that I've platinum Yakuza 0, minigames would easily account for over 50% of that time. There's just so many minigames to complete, with a lot of them being pretty much just RNG based. Needless to say, we're in for a great time. Now I know that might sound sarcastic, but after learning all the tricks and strategies from the endless hours of trial and error during my first platinum, I actually do generally enjoy playing all the minigames that RGG Studios add in these games. This game's bullshit, man. This is gonna be the one fucking trophy that breaks me, man. It is so stupid. Well, most of them anyway. Let's go ahead and start with the one minigame that I hate with a passion, and the only thing to make me talk bad about RGG Studios besides putting New Game Plus behind a paywall. Catfight Club. Now I'm not really going to show what is on the screen during this minigame because Japan is just way too horny for YouTube TOS. But the way this minigame works is you pick a fighter that you want to bet on. However much doesn't really matter. Then you essentially play rock paper scissors to determine who wins the turn, do damage to the opponent. Read like a book. First time playing this during my second platinum, I thought I had a pretty good strategy that I still remembered. And sure enough, I won all 3 rounds on my first attempt. As much as I would have liked that to be a viable strategy to share with you guys, I'd go on for the next 3 hours without getting a single win. Oh, this is so frustrating, bro. I thought I had it figured out. Man. I won the first one. I would, however, manage to win the March Madness equivalent of Catfight Clubs and earn 1 billion yen, only to realize later on that this didn't count towards the 10 wins that I needed for the Cat Scratch Fever trophy. I kept making it to the final round over and over again, only to lose on a button mash that is literally just RNG. I'm mashing my bumper and the circle button at the same time. It's literally just RNG, bro. Trust me, no matter how hard you tap that damn button, the game will choose whoever it feels like, and it probably won't be you. No f***ing way, man. How hard do I have to press the mother button? I did end up eventually getting all 10 wins after wasting 8 hours of my life that I'll never get back. Thank God. That was hell. The strategy I ended up using in the end was always picking Jennifer. Doesn't matter if she's having a good day, bad day, principal touched her butt, or whatever else you got going on. Just save yourself the trouble and pick Jennifer. Always pick the move that counters your opponent's best move, as they would be more likely to use it. If your opponent chooses the same move as you, start off mashing slowly and then as fast as you can after a couple of seconds. The AI tries to match the speed at which you first mash, so if you start off as fast as you can, the odds are that you'll most likely lose. And the last and most important step, pray. Every other gambling minigame can actually be completed pretty easily without even needing to know how to play them. Just bet the max every time, and once you've won a decent amount, back out of the minigame to save your progress towards completion. The amount earned is based on how much you enter with, so if you end up losing too much money, you're better off just backing out and resetting the game. Also, don't be scared of the computer when they start raising every turn in poker. Well, we have one pair. Let's hope he's bluffing.
One pair.
He's bluffing. He ain't have shit. Since we had already flirted with TOS, it's now time to go to the telephone club and flirt with some actual women. This was one of the minigames I was most worried about too, because the entire minigame revolves around you picking the correct text box based on the question the girl is asking, and as we've already established, I'm not Japanese. The language really wouldn't have been a barrier like everything else in the game, but not only is there a time limit, but the words are moving so my camera doesn't want to focus properly and translate anything. So while at first I thought I was in for another long, frustrating grind, turns out this minigame actually wants you to win, unlike the last one, because the correct answer will start flashing after just a few seconds. You can also pick the fastest moving one 9 times out of 10 to get the correct answer too. The reason I see this minigame cause so much frustration for a lot of people is actually due to the sub-stories associated with taking each girl on a date. There's a total of 9 different girls you can get with 7 different sub-stories that need to be completed, and I found that the easiest way to go about this is to focus on one set of girls at a time. Damn, she almost killed me. There's 3 different outfit colors, blue, white, and green. If you get one of the blue girls first, next time you answer the phone, if the color outfit of the girl on your screen isn't blue, hang that shit up. The reason for this is because the easiest way to tell the difference between the girls is by their voices. But if you just go for whoever picks up, you're gonna get the voices confused. If you focus on one color set, the voices are easy to distinguish even for someone like me who doesn't speak any Japanese. After hours of having to stare at Japanese women in bikinis and degenerate gambling, I felt like it was time for a mental reset. And what better way to do that than fishing? There's really not a whole lot to this minigame, it's just time consuming having to catch every single type of fish in the game. And I want to give a big shout out to Cyrix here because his Yakuza guides are actually extremely helpful and some of the best in gaming. I probably wouldn't have as many Yakuza Platinums if not for his guide, so if you're seeing this, thank you. There is one fish that I constantly see posted by people struggling to find, which is the ghost koi. Now I'm not sure if I figured out the strat for catching this little guy or was just lucky, but I actually caught it my first time trying. I think it's a ghost koi. No wait, the one above it to the left is the ghost koi because it wouldn't show up whenever I was looking. That's my headcanon anyway. I think that's it. Hold on, what is it called? Human-faced fish? Is that it? That was the ghost koi. Let's go. First try. The fish that I personally struggled to catch was the Ito, but eventually I did manage to catch one. Notice me. Notice me, please. Oh! First try. You just had to walk away for a second. All the fish. Done. For Shogi, we need to win a total of 5 games without a take back. And I'm not gonna lie to you, I haven't even tried learning how to play this game. Reason being is that I don't need to. Instead, I just download the free Shogi app on my phone, go to practice, put the computer at the highest level, and then whenever my Shogi opponent does in Yakuza, I do the same on my phone, and the computer gives me the move to beat my opponent. The next few minigames unfortunately don't have any way to cheese them, but with these tips I'm about to show you, they become a lot easier. The batting cage minigame requires you to earn 5 million yen, and in order to earn any money, you have to make it to at least the 6th ball, which will only reward you 1 million, meaning you have to do this 5 times. Get me out. Hey, just like me in college. You could always go for the 7th ball to earn 4 million out of the 5 in one go, but if you do, just know the target switches from stationary to moving. My first tip for the batting cage is do not keep your eye on the ball. Really? For those of us who have played sports in the past, this goes against everything we know. But this minigame is actually a rhythm game in disguise. I felt like I timed that right, but every time you step up to bat, the pitches will be thrown exactly the same as before. So what you actually want to be looking at instead of the ball is Kiryu's elbow. As soon as you see Kiryu slightly drop his elbow, that is the moment when you want to swing. Memorizing the speed of each pitch will help you with the timing some, but if you hit the ball just before or just after that elbow drops, you'll have to wait until Kiryu is done being disappointed in your lack of skill. Alright, that's slightly too early. For darts, you need to earn 10 million yen and get 10 hat tricks. At first, this might seem impossible, but the reason for that is probably because you're just using the standard darts. You can either buy an upgraded dart from the pawn shop or you unlock better darts from playing. Getting these better darts makes it significantly easier to get the 10 hat tricks because your darts will actually go where you want them to. I also found that it helps to wait until Kiryu's hand is completely still before releasing the right stick, so if your stick has some drift on it, good luck, brother. The arcade minigames in Yakuza 0 are all pretty easy and straightforward, so I don't have any tips for these. It'll just take a few attempts and a lot of time getting every toy from the crane game. I didn't say anything, so I don't want to jinx it, but we got it. Next up is bowling, and there's 2 goals that we need to complete here. Earning 10 million in split games. Potential? Oh, nice. Easy. And then getting a turkey in order to unlock a manager for Kiryu's real estate business. I don't remember this one being too difficult for my first platinum, but for some reason I really struggled to get a turkey here. There's always just one that won't fall. I use the same exact strategy here as I did on the PS4. Go all the way to the left and then angle your throw between the front 2 pins on the left. But for some reason, it would just consistently leave me with 1 pin left standing. I stuck with it though and eventually got my turkey. Oh, there it is. Which unlocked my final real estate manager, a chicken.
Nice car.
Pocket Circuit Racing only has one goal: win every race. This minigame has a whole bunch of substories associated with it as well, but it's honestly so much fun absolutely destroying these little kids that I wouldn't have minded if they decided to add some more.
Get shit on!
The tips I would suggest here is, first of all, try completing this without a guide. I know that when we're going for a platinum in a game, it's always tempting to just use a guide to get it over with quicker, but it's honestly not too hard to figure this one out on your own, and you'll enjoy it way more if you don't use a guide. I mean, if your car is perfectly optimized for every race, you won't get to see how invested Kiryu is in this children's game. I am smoking that. It's gone though. It's gone, it died. The second tip I would give here is that you don't always need to max out your build. In fact, for the last race I needed to win for a trophy, the build that I ended up winning with only used 38 out of 40 available points. Side note, just because your car goes off the track once in a close call, doesn't mean that your build is wrong. There's a small amount of RNG when it comes to your car going off the track, so just keep that in mind. With every other minigame completed, the time has finally come for everyone's favorite Yakuza minigame, Mahjong.
No, God!
Okay, so the first time I tried platinuming this game, I admit I spent a couple hours just clicking on random tiles and hoping something stuck. I remember it taking multiple nights before finally somewhat learning how to play and getting all the requirements I needed to finish up the completion list. I'm not going to tell you that there's zero RNG involved with this minigame, because that's just not true. But when you actually learn how to play, not only does it become enjoyable, but I was able to complete everything in less than 2 hours.
Let's go! Sub 2 hours.
With everything from the battle, business, and minigame sections on the completion list finished, and almost every sub-story done, there was only a few things left to do for our 100% save file. And it wouldn't be a complete platinum trophy experience if we didn't have some collectibles to get. The first collectible that we need are Pokemon cards, but instead of getting Pikachu, they're porn stars. We need to collect a total of 90 of them. The last collectible that we need ties into the previous, because now we have to collect videotapes of these same women, and watch every single one of them. Before the hardest boss fight in the game, I decided to share some of our wealth with my good friend Bob here. I say share, but it was more so an exchange because that last completion point that we earned was enough to get us the golden pistol.
Don't worry guys, it's fine. Kiryu doesn't kill.
Now it might seem lame taking a gun with unlimited ammo into this last fight, but I assure you, it really didn't make much of a difference. Not only does my opponent have about 20 health bars, but he has a cannon, a laser beam,
Oh my god!
an attack helicopter, super armor, and last but certainly not least, chairs.
Oh my god! Oh my god!
After remembering that I could actually use the super armor potion for myself, I was easily able to get past Soamon to finish all 60 of Kiryu's sub-stories. Now we just needed to finish the last sub-story for Majima to get that very rare 100% completion list trophy. But as annoying as that last fight was against So, Joe is an infinitely harder and more annoying boss to deal with. He starts off by using Kiryu's legend style, which isn't too hard, except for the fact that he literally perfect blocks every single attack.
Hey, chill.
The real fun is when he goes into phase 2 and starts copying Majima's Mad Dog style. I was having a great time doing an attack only to do 0 damage, just for him to respawn with the same exact move and destroy my health bar. I felt like the only way I could get any damage off in this fight was through spamming heat actions. But I did eventually figure out that you could actually counter his attack for an insane amount of damage.
Prediction.
My trophies, come on. As for defeating them on. Come on, where are the other ones? As for doing all sub-stories. And that's 100% completion in Yakuza 0. For my second time. With our 100% playthrough complete, the next step for this platinum was to beat all Climax Battles. There are 32 battles in total, so obviously I won't go through each one, but I'll cover the ones that gave me the most trouble. Starting with Proving Grounds number 6. For this battle, you need to earn a total of 30 million yen before the timer runs out. In order to earn money, you have to knock down one of the 3 brothers, with the money you earn increasing the higher your heat gauge is. The problem with this is whenever you knock one of them down, they immediately use a wake up attack that will put you on your ass with 0 heat gauge. And while most people will go for the spin to win tactic, the best and safest method to build heat while staying on your feet is to do the simple square into triangle combo. By doing this 2-hit combo, you are not only able to get in more knockdowns, but for some reason the AI is less likely to attempt a wake up attack. In fact, the only time they would go for one was whenever I'd get close to the corner. So as long as you keep your spacing, this challenge should go from frustrating to a piece of cake. All of the Climax battles that would prove to be challenging would come from the Majima fights. All except for Proving Grounds number 9, that is. For this challenge, you have to beat 4 waves of enemies without taking a single tick of damage. Honestly, didn't remember having any trouble with this one before, but I definitely won't forget the pain that this man caused me in wave 3.
Oh my god, bro. Most athletic fat man I've ever seen.
Majima also has a fight where you need to take 0 damage to win, but it's honestly not that hard with his legend style because of how quick he can move. The next fight that I would struggle with would be Melee Battle number 2. The difficulty from this fight comes from the fact that there's just so many dudes with not a lot of time to beat it. The only viable strat I could really come up with was just throwing them repeatedly to build up my gauge and then finish them off with a heat action. Even with this being the best strategy, I'll admit it took me a few tries to beat all the enemies before the clock expired. The last climax battle that I want to talk about is Ultimate Battle number 2. This fight, or fights I should say, are in my opinion the hardest and most frustrating in the game. Round 1 is actually very easy, but just replaying the first fight sequence against Lee with Majima having maxed out stats. He'll be knocked out after just a few spin cycles and then it's on to round 2, Nishitani. This fight is also fairly easy because once you manage to get him on the ground, you can repeat the same combo sequence to make sure it's always your turn to attack. If he does manage to hit you though, it will hurt. Now you might be wondering, if both of the fights so far are easy, why is this the hardest climax battle? And the answer to that question is because round 3 of this challenge is the true final boss of the game. Most fights in this game you can get through by some form of cheese or brute forcing your way through it. But Sarah is more so reminiscent of a Souls boss than that of a Yakuza boss fight. All it takes is one combo to connect from this man and it's straight to the loading screen for you. Which on the PS3 is pretty long. You then have to start again from the very beginning and repeat this process every time you die. The main reason this fight's so annoying though is because you almost have to play patiently and slowly chip away at his health in order to win. But since I'm a very impatient person, I still attempted to go for big damage. This ultimately forced me into a game of cat and mouse while I waited for my heat gauge to slowly build up enough to safely defeat Sarah. With all the climax battles finished, I was right back to where I started at the beginning of all of this, with just the legend playthrough remaining. This difficulty really isn't all that difficult after having gone through the climax battles. The only difference really between this and your normal playthrough is that if at any point you die or have to reload a checkpoint, it will revert you to your most recent save. QTEs are also a lot quicker and hit a lot harder in this difficulty, but as long as you pass those and stay stocked up on healing items, you should be able to breeze through this run with no problem. Well, most of the run. During the escort missions with Makoto, if she gets kidnapped, which will happen after about 2 seconds, it's game over. So make sure you stay close to her and keep the enemies aggroed on you. Chapter 13 is also a little challenging just because this game wasn't exactly developed to be a shooter. I actually managed to get through the highway chase on my first attempt though, just for Makoto to immediately throw and sent me back an hour into the story because I forgot to save. Very fun. And after a couple failed attempts on the highway, I made it back to the escort mission. But this time, I brought a friend. With that out of the way, all that stood between us and the platinum was the finale to what is my favorite video game of all time. There you have it. Not one, but 2 platinum trophies for Yakuza 0. If you enjoyed this video and want to see more Yakuza aka Like a Dragon platinums in the future, let me know down in the comments or let me know what your favorite video game of all time is. Thanks for watching and
See you next time.